Have you ever noticed how amazing advisors are in the prospect to client process? So when we are wooing clients from, hey, you just met us to, you should give us your life savings, our process is spot on, right? We've got it down. We're proactive. We respond really quickly. And then the client signs the paperwork and things it's not like they fall apart. They just become a little less polished, if you will. They become a little bit slower. Maybe we as an office become a little bit more reactive as opposed to proactive and a little bit more of, oh, where are we at on that conversion or where are we at on that transfer? Where are we at on that 1035 exchange as opposed to feeling like we are on top of it and on the ball like we are when we're trying to get a prospect to say yes to becoming a forever client. And if that's you, you are not alone. Okay. The first 100 days is what I like to think of as the forgotten process, right? You put so much effort into that wooing, right? Into getting the client to say yes, that once they sign, right, we feel like we kind of got it going on. They said yes. And things feel custom. Every onboarding feels a little bit different depending on the products and services that they're doing. Maybe they're doing insurance. Maybe they're doing 1035s. Maybe there's 401k rollovers involved. Maybe it's just ACAT transfers. Each one does feel a little bit different. But just because we close the sale does not mean we can sit back and relax on our client experience. In fact, the first 100 days has the most propensity for friction than any other process that we have inside of our business. And the research shows us that four things happen as a direct result of the first 100 days. There are four major business effects of getting the first 100 days done well. So you've heard me talk about it before. The wonderful book by Joey Coleman, Never Lose a Customer Again. Joey's company did a ton of research all around the first 100 days. And what they found is that if you do the first 100 days really well, designed with intention, having thoughtful, strategic points of contact, looking for areas of friction and working really hard to reduce them, you'll see these four effects. And I promise you, this applies to financial advisors as well. I saw them in my own business, and we've helped advisors build their first 100 days process for the last decade or so through the first 100 days course framework. So the framework's been around for a while. The course has been out for about a year, and we've had around 350, 400 advisors go through the program and have these same four effects now after the first year. Okay, so the four effects are number one, we see that if you design your first 100 days with intention, not by default, you see an increased longevity of the client relationship. So if you design this first 100 days with intention, you want it to feel amazing for clients. We want to elevate this experience so that it feels really different than anything a client has experienced with an advisor before. You want to stand out. You want it to be noticeably different. You want working with you and moving money, taking applications. We want it to feel easy for our clients, right? A easy onboarding experience is a completely different end result than one that feels messy with NIGOs and mistakes happening. We want our clients to feel really taken care of. And what happens is this process, this first 100 days, is it lives in this dangerous territory, right? Of nothing is necessarily broken. So you're not necessarily doing anything wrong. Like I said, you're not losing clients. No one's complaining. There is no imminent threat. So it does get pushed off. But the more intentional we are about the design of this first 100 days, we do see that increased longevity of client relationship, meaning once a client is your client, they will now typically be with you forever. And there's a direct correlation in the Coleman research between this first 100 days and the longevity of the client relationship. The second effect we see is the lifetime value of the customer goes way up. Number one, because the longevity goes up, but number two, we see wallet share increasing dramatically faster as a result of a well-crafted first 100 days, right? Especially if you have clients who are just testing the waters or trying you out. Or maybe they have business that isn't coming to fruition for a few years, maybe a potential inheritance or a 401k rollover at retirement. When you craft your first 100 days well, it sets the stage for this is a seamless experience. They've done this 1,000 times. This is so easy to work with them. Now, of course, you have to follow it up with a really good client service model, but there is a direct relationship between the first 100 days being done well and the lifetime value of your customer. The third effect is more and faster referrals. And this totally surprised me in my own business. Like I grew up in a broker dealership world where you had to demonstrate value for literally years before you felt like it was okay to ask for referrals or host a referral event or do something to generate that precious referral. And so when we recrafted our first 100 days process and started refining it, it blew my mind that brand new clients were referring other brand new clients to us before we had even made good on any of our promises yet. And that was what was so crazy to me is that we started receiving referrals in that first 100 days. Again, because we took the time, we tested, we tweaked, we implemented, we came back and refined and made this experience so exceptional that these brand new clients couldn't help but notice the difference. So I had Craig Gingrich on the show a while ago. So he was an advisor who stopped me in the lobby of a hotel that I was speaking at and said, "Hey, Libby, I have to tell you something really, really incredible." And I can link the episode that he did in the show notes below. But he said something to me in this conversation that I thought was really interesting. And he said, the he said the first 100 days, the couple of things that they implemented from the course made their first 100 days now their number one marketing strategy, meaning they get more clients in the first 100 days than all of their other marketing channels, more than workshops, social media, etc. And I asked him, I'm like, well, Craig, why do you think that is? And he said, well, think of it like this. He goes, you were right. There is so much riding on this first 100 days from client psychology and what the client is feeling coming into this process. That if you absolutely crush it and create this experience that is so different than anything they've experienced before, they can't wait and help themselves, right? To share it. So imagine this, like if there was a brand new restaurant in town and you took your spouse for your wedding anniversary to this brand new amazing restaurant and you had the most incredible meal. You had the most amazing service, and the atmosphere was unbelievable. There's a very strong chance that because it was new and it was your first time and everything was so amazing, that you're going to tell friends and family about it. We went to this new restaurant. It was so amazing. Here's the food was so good. The service was amazing. Here's some pictures. I'm putting it on Instagram and Facebook or whatever. He said, now imagine if you went to that same restaurant every year for your anniversary. And every year, the service was impeccable. The food was amazing and the atmosphere was spot on. Because in that 8th or 9th year, are you going to be just as likely to tell as many people about it, even though the experience was just as amazing? And I was like, yeah, probably not. He said, yeah, because it's not new. You've come to expect it. He said, in the same way that if you do an exceptional job serving your clients, they kind of forget what it was like to work with an advisor before you. They've come to expect an exceptional experience. He said, so there's really a unique novelty window that exists around this first 100 days that if you craft it well, you can take advantage of this. Oh my gosh, I've never experienced anything like this before. Wow, this feels so different. So we do see that third effect of getting more referrals faster. And again, it blew my mind when we had brand new clients who, frankly, we hadn't actually done anything before besides roll over their money and get them set up. Right now, obviously, we delivered a really killer financial plan, but it was amazing to me when a brand new client who didn't even have years of history of experience with us would refer a friend or a family member. That to me showed that we were really, really killing it in that first 100 days. And the fourth effect is a better client experience. I mean, this one's kind of obvious, but a thoughtful and orchestrated first 100 days where everything happens for a reason and by design versus a chaotic kind of messy default onboarding, which is what, including myself, most advisors have or had for a really long time, right? It is a wildly different client experience. And it's the one that we always have wanted to give. So most advisors have this desire to, and I see this all of the time with advisors coming into our coaching program and into our course, is they know what they want to do. They know they want to deliver this exemplary experience. And again, there's nothing wrong. It's not like they're losing clients. It's not like something's inherently broken and people are walking out the door left and right. It's that they know deep down inside that they could do a better job. They know deep down inside that they could do an exceptional job if they just carved out the time to work on it. So the fourth kind of effect is this client experience that also directly impacts the longevity of the client relationship, the lifetime value of the customer, and the number of referrals you receive and the speed at which you receive them. So those four things are kind of big strategic outcomes, but there's also some really awesome practical little byproducts that make your life easier immediately as kind of a result of crafting a really good first 100 days. So what I noticed for me in my own business was number one, by doing some of those core stakeholder items that we have inside of the first 100 days, the paperwork party, the formal onboarding meeting, the breaking up with your previous advisor assistance, the 90-day check-in. By doing some of these things, we noticed we actually processed business faster. Our processing speed went up by 50 something percent. So we literally cut the amount of time from application to money in hand or insurance approved by almost 50%, by a little over 50%. That's crazy. So we cut it in half. So not only did our business get processed faster, what that end result then looks like is number one, our clients are happier, right? Wow, that was really quick. This is a lot less painful than I thought it would be. Holy smokes, I thought it would take forever. That was really fast. You look really good when things happen quickly, especially if the last time that they did this, it did not happen quickly and it was a longer, more painful, more frictionful process. Number two, you get paid faster. When business processes faster, your billing cycle turns on quicker, your commissions come through more quickly. And who doesn't love getting paid faster? Like, I know, look, we're all in this to serve clients and do a good job. But at the end of the day, this is how you feed your family. And I'm not going to shy away from the fact that we get compensated to do so. So if you're going to get compensated, you might as well get it done a little bit faster. And number three, there's way less chasing, time tracking, and you are so much more organized. So in order for your team to send out the pizza tracker email, and if you know, you know, but the pizza tracker email is kind of in the same way that Domino's, like once you order a pizza, if you've ever ordered pizza from Domino's, you've seen this, right? Where when you order, it pops up that the order's been received. It's like this little bar graph. And I can remember when my boys were little, they used to sit there with the iPad in their hand and be like, Mom, the pizza is getting the toppings put on it. And now the pizza's in the oven and now it's out for delivery. And they used to follow this bar graph along the way. So we developed, and it's inside the first 100 days course, but we developed an email that went out to our clients every week, just letting them know where everything was at in the process. So if their 401k rollover was getting its toppings or in the oven, if their life insurance application was still being baked or out for delivery, right? We wanted them to know where they stood on each and everything. So in order for us to be able to do that for our clients, my team and I had to be hyper organized on the back end. We had to know where everything was in the process. And what this avoided, we've all had as advisors, we've all had that moment where we're like, oh my gosh, whatever happened to the Roth rollover for so and so? And you kind of forget these to stay on top of these things, especially if they have a little bit longer of a timeline. So we found by having to send this concierge level email to our clients every single week that were in the onboarding process to let them know where everything was at, my team and I had to be super organized behind the scenes in order to make that email happen every week. So the business got processed faster. Number one, because we were getting applications done more quickly. We were getting all of the data and information that we needed from our clients faster by not giving them to-do lists and instead doing paperwork parties. Number three, my team did not drop the ball on anything because every single week we were having to send that Domino's pizza tracking email. So we spent so much less time tracking, chasing, and picking up the ball when it got dropped. And frankly, byproduct number four is less dropped balls. Very few things, once we rolled out our first 100 days process, very few things slipped between the cracks. The fourth byproduct or fifth byproduct that we notice in our own business too is that when we did the first 100 days well, sales were stickier for long-term products. So let me explain. So in my world, when we would underwrite long-term care with the broker dealer that I was with, it would take, I don't know, it felt like a year and a half or more to issue. Like it just took forever. And I can remember crafting the world's most perfect plan, putting clients through this big financial planning process, doing all these recommendations, them saying yes, rolling over this money, taking applications for long-term care insurance, and then calling them like 6 or 7 months later when they were approved and saying, "Oh my gosh, it's so great. I'm so excited. You've been approved." And they were like, "Cool, for what?" And you're like, "Remember that long-term care policy that we did 6 months ago?" And they'd be like, "Oh, you know what? Not really. That kind of rings a bell. Can you re-explain it to me?" So things like that, things like 1035s, anything that might take a long time or have a just a longevity to its underwriting process or rollover process, or maybe you made pension recommendations, but the pension wasn't going to be ready to be released for 10 or 11 months. We found that by sending this concierge level email every week and by doing these things in the first 100 days, that those sales became a lot stickier. After implementing our full first 100 days process, when we would pick up the phone and call clients 6, 7, 8 months later and say, "Kate, guess what? You've been approved for long-term care," they'd say, "Oh, that's great. So we don't have to get the email anymore," versus us having to bring them back in the office, re-explain what it was, how it worked, why we were asking them to pay such an obnoxious premium dollar, and having to resell the whole process. So elevating that first 100 days does lead to a better overall client experience. It does lead to faster processing. It leads to better, deeper relationships, higher lifetime value of the customer, more referrals faster. But also, and really to me, the best part is it just makes your business feel easier. When you are getting referrals, that's easier than having to do oodles and oodles of marketing. And I'm not saying don't market, right? But when you're getting referrals, it just makes life easier when you're processing business faster and there's less NIGOs, less errors, less chasing stuff down. It just makes business feel easier. And I don't know what advisor wouldn't sign up to make your life feel or to make business just feel a little bit easier. So if your onboarding process feels a little chaotic, or if you're like most advisors and you've left it as kind of the untouched, most ignored process of them all, I want to invite you to join us inside of the first 100 days course. So the month of May is my birthday month, and we have a couple extra bonuses going on this month. But I'd love to invite you to take that next step to build out the first 100 days of your client experience with intention and design, as opposed to letting it happen by default. And I promise you, you will see deeper, more intentional relationships growing. You will see more referrals faster, and you will feel so good about delivering that client experience that you've always wanted to deliver. The one that lives deep down inside of your heart that you were like, if I just wasn't so dang busy all the time, I know I could do X, Y, or Z. So I'd love to invite you in. It's a DIY program. You follow the content. There's 2 tracks. We have a fast track for those of you that just want to hit the highlights that get you the biggest needle moving moments the quickest. And then we've got the full track, which gets into client psychology and how to build a great process. But along the way, regardless of which track you choose, there is templates, samples, examples, downloads, everything that you need to make your first 100 days experience remarkable.